They say a soul can die long before the body ever does. Mine died on a Tuesday, beneath a sun that felt less like a kiss and more like a sentence. Have you ever felt that? That eerie sensation of vanishing from your own life, like a ghost haunting what used to be yours? If you have, maybe you'll understand. And maybe, just maybe, you won't judge me too harshly. Stay with me. Listen to my story. And if, at any point, something in it feels familiar, let me know. Like this video.
Subscribe.
It helps me believe I'm not just screaming into an empty void. It's been 3 years since that day on the coast. 3 years since my world tilted off its axis, and everything I thought I knew fell into a deep, dark, bottomless pit. It was supposed to be a simple escape, a quiet weekend at Serenity Cove with my son, Leo. My husband, Julian, was absent. Again. A last-minute crisis at the firm. A phantom deadline that always seemed to pop up right when he was needed most at home. Work was Julian's real marriage. I had become the silent, understanding mistress. A role I learned to play with practiced grace and a steady, simmering bitterness. But that day felt different. The air itself was thick, almost electric, charged with something I couldn't quite name. The sun beat down relentlessly, casting heat waves over the white sand. We found our spot, and I lay back on the towel, the roar of the waves offering temporary relief from the screaming in my chest. Finally, I was away from those perfect empty walls. For a moment, I felt free. I turned to Leo, my son. He was 18 then, balanced between boyhood and manhood, with a lean, wiry strength and Julian's storm-gray eyes. But Leo's gaze still held a softness his father had long since lost. "Leo, darling," I murmured, my voice nearly swept away by the sea breeze. "Could you help me with the sunscreen on my back?" I didn't hesitate. Why would I? He's my son, my blood, my child. Why would such an innocent request raise any red flags? At first, it was nothing. Just his hands, cool from the lotion, moving awkwardly over my shoulders with that same clumsy, boyish care I'd seen in him since he was little. But then something shifted. The pressure of his palms changed. Became more certain, more deliberate. I felt his hands drift lower, tracing the curve of my spine with a slowness that made my breath catch. My mind screamed at me to stop it, to sit up, to shatter whatever strange, silent spell was creeping in. But my body, my treacherous, aching body, didn't move. It had been starved of touch, of affection, of even the simplest warmth for so many years. So I stayed still. I stayed silent. Do you think you understand what that means? Do you believe you know where the boundary lies between mother and woman? I used to. I thought that line was unshakable, until the moment it blurred. Until everything I thought I was came undone. That moment happened on the beach. And it changed everything. Julian and I had been married for nearly 20 years. To the outside world, we were the perfect picture, a spacious suburban house, 2 beautiful children, a life polished to a gleam. But the cracks, they were real, just invisible from the outside. And the emptiness? That's a secret you carry alone when you're the one living inside it. Julian's ambition didn't just drive him. It consumed him. Work wasn't a part of his life. It was his whole identity. He'd come home late smelling of the city and expensive cologne, and his eyes would pass right through me. I had become part of the decor. Functional. Familiar. Forgotten. Our conversations were reduced to lists, bills, groceries, Maya's school events. He loved Leo and Maya, I think, but his love felt like a faraway star. You could see its light, but never feel its warmth. I remember that morning in the kitchen. He rushed out, briefcase in hand, kissed Maya on the top of her head, then looked at me with that well-practiced apology in his eyes. "Sorry, something's come up. I can't make it today." I didn't argue. I never did. I just nodded, the familiar knot in my throat tightening again. "It's okay," I whispered. On the long drive to the coast, Leo sat beside me with his headphones in. The beat from his music was a faint pulse in the quiet car. He stared out the window, lost in the blur of the passing world. He was growing up so fast. I felt a sharp ache in my chest, A flash of fear, of future grief. Would I blink and he'd be gone too? My thoughts drifted, as they often did, to the man Julian used to be. I remembered late-night drives, his hand resting warmly on my leg, his eyes lit with a fire that was only for me. That fire had gone out long ago, and in its place was nothing but cold silence and the crushing weight of being invisible. Are you still here with me? If you are, drop a 1 in the comments. Let me know I'm not alone in this memory. Back on the beach, beneath that heavy sun, I closed my eyes as Leo's hands moved across my skin. The motion was steady, rhythmic. For a moment, I let myself pretend. I imagined it was Julian years ago, on our honeymoon. I gave in to the simple, aching joy of being touched. That's when it happened. The slow, deliberate slide of his hands, moving down the curve of my back, pausing just at the edge of my bikini. My breath caught. Every nerve in my body lit up. A silent alarm screamed in my mind, but the words never made it to my lips. I was frozen, caught in a war I didn't know how to win. The part of me that was a mother recoiled in horror, but the part of me that was a woman, lonely, neglected, hollow, whispered, "Don't let him stop." And then I heard my own voice, low and unfamiliar. A traitorous murmur I barely recognized. "It's okay. You can go on." The words hung there, suspended in the thick, salty air, obscene. Irreversible. He paused, only for a second. Then I felt it, his fingers slipping beneath the fabric. His touch, now electric, forbidden, sent a jolt through my entire body. My heart pounded wildly, a frantic beat that clashed with the steady rhythm of the waves. I could have stopped it. I should have screamed. But I didn't. In that moment, I stopped caring about right and wrong. I was just a raw, open wound of need. I wanted, no, craved, to feel something again. To be seen. To be touched. No matter how broken the source. Something inside me shattered that day, and I knew the pieces would never fit back together the same again. If this story stirs something in you, or if you think someone else needs to hear it, please share it. It helps more than you know. It reminds me that these dark corners of the human soul are not mine alone. The drive home was suffocating. The air inside the car felt thick, like it was choking us both. I couldn't bring myself to look at him, but I could feel his eyes, heavy, searching, knowing. He had seen something in me that day, something buried deep. A hunger. And I knew with terrifying clarity that he recognized it, because he felt it too. Life at home turned into a minefield. Stolen glances, loaded silences. Julian remained blissfully, maddeningly unaware. He moved through our home like a phantom, a hollow echo of a husband, while Leo became the one filling all the space Julian had abandoned. One night, Julian came home late again. He brushed his usual, detached kiss across my cheek. "Long day," he muttered, already loosening his tie, his mind clearly elsewhere. I watched him walk away and felt nothing but a cold, solid stone forming in my stomach. That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling while Julian breathed evenly beside me. But it wasn't his touch I was thinking about. My mind was in the room next door with my son. I hated myself for it. I hated him for making me feel it. But the loneliness, it was a cancer, and I would take any remedy. Even poison. Days melted together in a haze of tension. Leo was always there, magnetic, close. I couldn't escape it. I'd be at the sink, and he'd stand just behind me, so close I could feel his warmth. We never spoke of that day. We didn't need to. The silence between us throbbed with dangerous electricity. Then came the second time. Another stifling weekend. Another last-minute cancellation from Julian. "Let's go back to the beach," I said, my voice strange in my ears. Was I testing myself? Or walking back into the fire, knowing full well it would burn? The beach was nearly deserted. We laid out our towels. I didn't ask him to help with the sunscreen this time. I couldn't. I pretended to sleep, but I could feel his gaze on me. Heavy, hot, a touch of its own. Later, we headed to the public showers to wash off the salt and sand. He stepped under the spray first, water cascading down his sun-darkened back. And then, Acting on an impulse I didn't try to control, I dropped my cover-up and stepped in beside him. His eyes widened. With surprise? Or something else? "You should take off your shorts too," I heard myself say. The words came out as both a command and a plea. He stared at me for a long moment, then slowly he did. We stood there alone, water falling like a curtain between us and the rest of the world. I turned my back to him and whispered, "Help me." His hands were gentle at first, but the air was electric, thick with a pull neither of us could deny. When his hands wrapped around my waist and pulled me against him, my body tensed. This was it, the edge of everything. I could have walked away. I should have. But instead, I leaned into him. I took his hands and placed them over my stomach, then guided them higher, over my chest. He didn't pull away. What happened next was a blur of tangled, desperate longing. It wasn't soft. It wasn't slow. It was urgent. A collision of two starved souls. Wrong in every conceivable way, and yet, in that moment, I didn't want it to stop. I didn't have the strength. He held me like no one had in years. And I held on to him like a drowning woman clinging to a raft, even if it was splintered and sinking. The drive home was silent. A silence heavier than words could carry. When I turned off the ignition, he looked at me. Really looked. And in his eyes, I didn't see shame. I saw longing. Raw. Wild. Familiar. "How long?" he asked, voice low and rough. "How long have you felt like this?" The question shattered the last of my defenses. "Maybe longer than I want to admit," I whispered. Before I could open the door, he leaned across the console and kissed me. This wasn't like before. This wasn't awkward or hesitant. It was a kiss of devastating certainty, the kind that burns itself into your memory, the kind you can never take back. And I kissed him back. I gave in. To the years of hunger. To the agony of being invisible. To the aching thrill of finally being seen, wanted, needed. That was the night we crossed a line there's no returning from. What began as a moment of weakness on a beach has become my life. A secret I carry with me every second of every day. I look at Julian. I look at Maya. And I wonder how they can't see it. Can't smell the rot growing beneath our perfect picture. Maybe they're lost in their own worlds. Or maybe I've just become a very good liar. This is my reality now, a constant, trembling walk along the edge of a razor. I know it's wrong. I know Leo deserves more than this. And I know I'm destroying him. But when he looks at me with those stormy, knowing eyes, when he touches me in those quiet, stolen moments, I feel alive again. And that is the most terrifying truth of all. I don't know how to fix this. I don't even know if I want to. That's why I'm telling you this. Maybe someone out there has the answer. Maybe you can show me the way out of this maze before I vanish in it completely. So please, leave a comment. Share your thoughts. Let this be a warning. Loneliness can drive you to do things you never imagined you were capable of. Don't let yourself become so lost that you burn down your whole world without even realizing it. Because once you cross that line, you can never go back. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. I need to know I'm not alone in this darkness. The greatest betrayals I've learned aren't the ones we commit against others. They're the ones we commit against ourselves.